Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Brooklyn Storm, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I hope that you're having a really beautiful week so far. I'm on my flex week. So I have been doing all sorts of things around the house, and I'm going to be going and staying with mum for a little while because, I sold my house very quickly and very unexpectedly. So just been doing little things up there, like getting a fence put up so that Gabe has some safety and security around him, because where she lives, there aren't any real sort of fences. I don't want him to run away because he's a little Harry Houdini, this puppy of mine. If there's a way to escape, he'll find it. And then just sort of, doing all the fun stuff like organising storage units for my stuff and things like that. But of course, I was really looking forward to sitting down with you today and talking with you about one of my very favourite topics. So it wasn't always that way. Before I get stuck into it, welcome to all the new subscribers, and thank you so much to everybody for listening to another episode. I appreciate you so much. We've had 17,300 downloads, which, feels, every time I look at the numbers, I feel like, wow, I can't believe this is actually happening. And it's so cool, and you guys are just the best. Okay, so I want to talk with you about, a topic that never used to be my favorite topic, but now it absolutely is, because I think once you experience a shift on the inner, when you have that shift with your inner world, meaning your beliefs and your feelings and things like that, then you start to see the manifestation of that shift in the external world, don't you? And I'm sure we've all got examples of this, but what I'm going to focus on today is money mindset. So over in my group, the ACPPO, which is the Australian Counsellors in Private Practice Online, we have just spent the month of June working on our money mindset, which has been so cool, because so many people have been sharing their breakthroughs, and I just love seeing that. We've had people sort of shift their fees, we've had people release EAP contracts, we've had people manifest new dream referrals, all that sort of stuff. And it wasn't by them doing sort of anything to do with their systems or their processes. It all came about by working through things that were holding them back when it came to their money mindset. And for a lot of them, that was things around self-worth, it was things around confidence, imposter syndrome, all that kind of stuff, right? Was sort of bubbling along underneath. But isn't it amazing to see that when you can support people through that, then the world just opens up for them in these new and exciting ways. And it's just been, one of my highest joys to witness some of their transformations. So just so beautiful. So as a coach and as a fellow private practice owner, I owe much of my success to, my education in around how to create and operate a private practice that is not only ethical and profitable, but deeply respects who I am, not only as a practitioner, but also as a woman, as a spiritual woman, and as a business owner. But as you know from previous episodes, I didn't get there overnight. In fact, would you believe it took me, it's embarrassing to say, but I think must have been about nearly 17 or 18 years to actually realize that I had a money mindset, because I didn't start doing this sort of work more deeply until then. So I wasn't even aware, like I didn't even know what a money story was. I wasn't aware that I had money beliefs or anything like that. But yeah, it took me about 17, 18 years to recognize I had them, let go of money stories about why I couldn't afford to join programs. I do things like tell myself that, when X, then Y. So, for example, there was a course that I really, really, really wanted to do that was run by somebody else in private practice, and I was thinking to myself, oh yeah, this would be amazing. I'll do it when I've got the money, and of course, you've never got the money. And then, time would go by and I would see, colleagues and peers in certain groups talking about, what they were doing differently in their practice and how much success they were having. And I kind of felt like the pang of jealousy because I was thinking to myself back then, well, this isn't fair. Like, I want to be able to do that too. And how come they're moving forward and I'm still here? And then the doors to that program would open again. And again, I would come up with a, if this, then that. So it'd be like, well, I don't have the money yet. So I know that they're going to open again in 6 months. So I'll just wait another 6 months. And can you believe I was on that treadmill for what felt like the longest time? And as a result of that, what happened was my peers had really started moving ahead of me in terms of the direction of their private practices and where they were going with it. And I just became very acutely aware that I felt like I was falling behind. You and I both know I wasn't, but that's what I was feeling, and my feelings at that time were valid, okay? But yeah, that's what it was like for me. And, I of course celebrated their wins with them and I was genuinely happy for them. But on the inside, I was kind of telling myself, this isn't fair. Why can't I do this? How come she can have it and I can't? The reason I can't is because this was my experience, all right? So I know it's different for everyone, but the story I was telling myself was, well, she can do this because, she's charging a lot more than I am, and she works in a high socioeconomic area and I don't. I work in a low socioeconomic area, so I'm never going to be able to afford to do these things. It's not fair, She's got a partner to support her, so she can take time off to go on retreats and things like that. I can't. If I'm not working, I'm not producing an income, and that's not fair. So I had all this kind of stuff, right? And for those of you who aren't psychologists, there was a lot going on. There still is. There was a lot going on at the time about the disparity between pay rates from everywhere for clinical versus general. And I even say the word versus, don't I? Like that's still something that I want to address with my business in the future, not now, but it's a future project for me to try and work on correcting some of that stuff. But so even within the psychology community, there was a lot of angst and conflict around, some people get more and some people get less, and so it just kind of got really yucky for a lot of people there, who were on both sides. It got really yucky for a lot of people. And so anyway, I allowed that to feed into my, not excuses, but my reasons for why I couldn't afford to get help. I was like, well, I can't charge as much as them. My clients don't get such a high rebate as them. So what am I doing wrong? Like this is never going to happen for me. So I was telling myself all of this stuff. And do you know what? I can see now how holding on to that sort of negative thought or negative thinking, low vibe thinking, it was serving me in a way. So one of the questions I love to ask my clients, whether they're mentoring, supervision or coaching, is from time to time when they're struggling with something and we don't feel like they're progressing, I will challenge them and I'll say, hey, can I ask you something? It might be a bit prickly, and they always say yes because they're beautiful clients. I love them so much. But I just say, is it possible that staying in this place where you are right now is helping you avoid something else? What's this getting you off the hook for? And you know what? It's so interesting because often they'll say, yeah, well, I guess I'm just avoiding taking that leap. I guess I'm just avoiding, like, what if it works and I become successful? What's that going to mean for me? I'm not set up to receive more referrals. I don't know that I've got the systems in place to handle that. I don't have admin. I'm not using the right software for my practice, or do you know what I mean? So there's usually an underlying reason. And for me, when it came to investing in more training and things like that, I did avoid it for a few reasons. So one of my reasons was I had a scarcity mindset, right? I can't spend that money because I might need it for something else. Right, that was me. One of my other beliefs was only rich people can afford to go on retreats and invest in themselves and their businesses, and I'm not rich. Then I thought stuff like there are better ways that I could spend that money, like on my rent or on my website. And I was one of those people that would say, when I start turning over this amount of money, then I will go and do that course, or then I'll go and do that program. Or when I've got this much money in the bank, then I will invest that and go and do the course or the program. But here's the thing, you always live within your means or beyond your means, don't you? And so your set point never really changes, and the money never really accumulates, because you always find other things to spend it on, like Facebook ads, Google ads, a VA, things like that. So what was happening for me with my thinking back then was it was keeping me safe, because although I didn't like it, it was a familiar story to me to not be able to afford things because of how I grew up. So I didn't like it, but it was very familiar, and therefore it felt very safe. Even though it was a yucky place to be, it felt very safe. I knew what that looked like in that box. I knew what the box of not being able to afford things looked like, even though you really wanted them. I knew what it looked and felt like to miss out on things. And I knew what it looked and felt like to see other people enjoying things and, me missing out. So then when I started doing, deeper work, and I was really getting into, working with inner guidance and manifesting and soul work and things like that, that's when the big shifts started to happen. And what I came to realize was that I was avoiding trying something new because it was unfamiliar, and I didn't know what that was going to look like. I didn't know what it was going to look like to be around other people who also invested in their businesses, because I'd never done it. What were those people going to be like? Would I fit in? Am I good enough? Am I on their level? Will they accept me? Will they like me? What if I don't fit in? So those were things that were going through my mind. And the way that I got through that was by using spiritual-based practices, like asking myself questions, a lot of Socratic questioning, a lot of journaling, things like that. And I guess the thing that made a difference to me was I was at that point where I just realized one day I had to bite the bullet and just do it. And you know what? I did. And what I realized was, so one of the first things I did in terms of investing in myself was I invested in a retreat, right? It was like, I can't even remember. I think it was like, I don't know, I want to say 3 nights, 4 days or something like that. And it felt like a lot of money to me, though looking back it wasn't. But to me, because I'd never spent money on myself doing that, and I was risking things by taking time away from the business, it felt like a big thing. And so anyway, I went on this retreat, and it was a game changer for me because I'd never allowed myself to be helped and to be supported in such an intensive way. There were only a handful of us there. I think there were 5 of us there in total. And it was just so different. It was like being back at uni again, but being in a small group, and you had that group with you for the whole day, and you were just working through all sorts of different things. And I made a lot of progress because, well, I'd invested in it, so I wanted to get my money's worth. So I used that time and I asked hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions. I wrote as much down as I possibly could. I spoke to the other practitioners that were there because they were further along than I was. Financially, they'd been in private practice a lot longer than I had. And they were so experienced. I wanted to learn from them. So I was asking them questions all the time too. And, within a few months of coming back and changing things around in my business, my income increased by, I think it was back then, I think it was about 30%, which was a lot to me because you got to remember I started off bulk billing. So not charging clients any money, just accepting the government rebate. So that was my experience of finally investing in myself. And because it allowed me to see when I've got, well, they say skin in the game, but when I've let go of that money, I want to get something back. I want to make sure I'm improving. I want to make sure the business is improving. I want to make sure. So you can't help but succeed. You can't help but get better. And I guess that kind of was the starting point for me in terms of further investments in my business. And back then, I didn't even have a line in my budget. Like I didn't even have a budget, right? I didn't even have a spreadsheet, nothing. But I didn't have any money set aside for my own, not professional development in terms of, learning about EMDR or learning about CBT or anything like that. I didn't have anything in my budget for learning about how to run a private practice. So now I do. Now I have a coaching line. But after I did that program there, then what I did was I was hungry for more because I'd had a taste of what it's like to actually receive that focused support that's just about private practice and not about anything else. And so what ended up happening next was I got my very first coach, and she was from the UK, but she didn't have any experience in private practice per se, but she did with other things I was interested in. And that was a big investment for me, huge. It was, I think I paid 5,000 Great British pounds, which at the time felt like nearly double. I went on a payment plan for it. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, how am I going to afford to pay for this? But at the same time, the awareness of what I was going to get out of it was so great that I became obsessed in finding a way of making it happen. And so I corresponded with her back and forward, and we created a payment plan. And the payment plan that I was on back then was $400 a month, Australian dollars a month. And I just paid this off over 2 years, right? Anyway, so I paid her the $400 a month, and I remember getting the contract from her and seeing that it said I was committing to this payment of $400 a month. And I remember just kind of gulping and thinking, holy yikes, how am I going to afford this? How am I going to sustain this? But I signed on the dotted line because I knew that when I commit to something, I kind of make it happen. Plus, I knew that part of my goal with working with her was going to be in learning how do I make this happen. And do you know what? Again, within a few months, I'd made back the investment and I was able to pay her out, in a few months. Like I think within 6 months, I'd paid her out. So I didn't need the payment plan anymore because my practice had started turning over that sort of money. And now I've got now I'm addicted to getting support from my practice, and I do loads of courses. And of course, I've always got a coach now. At the start of the year, I had 2 coaches. I finished with one, and I'm still working with the other one. And he's amazing. And it's just when you make that decision and you actually do it, it's like ripping off a Band-Aid. And I can still remember the feeling of sheer exhilaration after I signed that contract and returned it. And I was dancing around the room. I think I did a Facebook post on how I was dancing around the room. It's so exhilarating because you've committed and you know that your life's about to change and you're so excited to see what that's going to look like. But the point of this podcast was to, I guess, show you I know what it's like when it comes to investing in things, because I've been there too. And guess what? Each time I get a new coach, they're more expensive than the last one. So I'm constantly having to deal with this as well. The more progress you make, or the further along you get, each time I want to get another coach, I want to get the next coach and the next coach and the next, or go further, or buy the next program, the next program, the next program. I'm pushed too. And when you're in that position, all your stuff bubbles up to the surface about your money stories, right? So, yeah, but here's what I know now. For 17 or 18 years of just having kind of like, I was flatlining with the practice. It wasn't dying, but it also wasn't growing, and I wasn't joyful in it. I was just turning up, doing the work and going home. So it was like kind of steady. I didn't have that bliss. I wasn't growing. I wasn't giving myself holidays or paying super, and I wasn't giving myself time off. But after all of that, here's what I know now. What I know now is I absolutely don't want that for you. Please don't make the mistake that I made. And, by hook or by crook, I want to do everything I possibly can to help you get out of your own way and start taking aligned action on your dreams for your private practice too. And I'm so passionate about this that, I teach it, I'm a coach for it, I'm a mentor for it, I supervise women, I run groups, and, I'm such a big advocate for you feeling empowered with your practice as a woman. And I have made it, my purpose, and you can see that from the way that I show up for you, to help you experience clarity and direction, give you structure, and also meet you in that beautiful feminine space of the relationships, the connection, the flow, and the joy, and all those beautiful things that you can experience with your practice. So here's the other thing that I want you to know before we finish up today. If you hear or feel yourself saying, I want to do that course, or I want to do that coaching, or I want to do that supervision with her, not me, but with her, but I can't afford to take action on my practice right now, I want to challenge that belief, because I don't believe, guys, that it's ever about the money. It's never, ever, ever about the money. I believe that there's something deeper that perhaps you're holding on to about maybe your worth. I'm not worth it. That money should be spent on the family. I mean, let's take this. This is a common one. I can't spend that money on doing a course for my private practice because my family needs that money. Okay, your family need that money, but wouldn't your family benefit from you investing in yourself now so that you could make more money, if that's the belief that you're operating from? You'd be able to make more money with this knowledge that you don't have. You'd be getting that knowledge on how to make more money, and then you could be home more with the family. You could take them to basketball and ballet and tennis. You could take them on a trip to Brisbane or Tasmania or wherever you want to go. Wouldn't your family benefit from you investing in your education? I think that they would. So, don't stop at the belief. Allow yourself to dive deeper and unpack it, If you feel like, well, there's no point in me, doing a course or getting some mentoring or getting a coaching because I'm not good enough. Well, that's a whole other thing that you need some support with in terms of your worth. If your money stories belong to somebody else and you're letting this ego mindset kind of stop you from taking the next step to creating success in your private practice, and that's something else that you can absolutely get support in helping. But you need to recognize that you got the money story first, and we all do. Like, I'm going to be investing in myself again in the middle of the year, and it's going to cost me a small fortune, and of course all my stuff's going to come up again, and I'm going to need help processing my own stuff. It's like how you can't process your own stuff, but you can do it for everyone else. Anyway, so here's the other thing that I want you to to understand, because it might help you figure out what your triggers are. If you become offended because, for example, I invite you to enroll in the Private Practice with Soul class. So I've got the mid-year intake open now. There's a few places left. There's 14 places left, and you can enroll before the 8th of July. So if you feel offended because I invite you to enroll in that, then there's some deeper trigger, or there's some fear, or there may be some old wound in your masculine or your feminine energy that's rising up to the surface to be seen, to be explored, and perhaps even to be healed. And I believe it wants to be explored and healed. Don't you? Imagine what's going to become available to you. You know, don't panic, we're just talking, but imagine what could become available to you if you are able to let go and release those money stories that aren't supporting you in your private practice. In fact, they're preventing you from having the things that you want in your business. Imagine what could become available to you if you'd been able to have somebody to support you in working through those. But please give yourself time to reflect on, today's podcast. Please take a moment to think back to how you usually react when people invite you to work with them, and allow yourself to go deeper with it if you are someone that experiences that, that seizing up, that trigger, that immediate reaction of, this isn't fair. I knew there was going to be a catch. Why is she doing this? It's only about the money. Da-da. Stop and ask yourself, where's this coming from? Ask yourself, is it my story? Ask yourself, is this story supporting is this story aligning with where I want my practice to go? I believe that when you feel that discomfort, it's because something's out of alignment. And I believe it's because your soul says, I know I've got a gift. I know I've got a message. I know I was, put on this earth to help and support and guide and mentor or all those sorts of things. You've got all of that going on. But then we've got fear that's coming up, and it's that's causing the misalignment. And the way to get yourself back into alignment is to address the fear. And maybe you haven't had anybody in your corner before to sit with you and hold that space and just let you process it. But I'm confident that the fear that you have around money can be let go. I'm confident that when it is released, the law of vacuum, when we talk about the 12 universal laws, there's this law of vacuum. And it says that when we release things, we create space for new things to come in their way. If you have a Tupperware cupboard, you will know exactly what I mean. As soon as you clear it out, sure as eggs, you're going to have it filled up again. Or if you've got a nice wardrobe, maybe, and you're very masculine and you're masculine energy and you have everything folded up really neatly and all your dresses hanging in color order or length order or whatever it is. If you make space in that wardrobe, sure as eggs, you're going to fill it up with something else. But it's the same energetically. It's the same with your mind. When you release a belief, you're decluttering, and that's a good thing because it makes space for the new current beliefs that can support you to come in and come through, that better align with your values in your practice. Okay, so I want you to know that, as always, it's my highest intention to help you and support you and encourage you. And you know that. But I wouldn't be a very good coach or teacher or mentor or supervisor if I didn't encourage you to explore the uncomfortable situations as they arise as well. You and I both know that, we can grow through things, and we can change. We're in the business of change, right? So this is your invitation. This is your invitation to join me in the class where you will create and clarify your big vision for your practice, where you'll learn about things like how to develop robust structures and foundations that keep you really safe, that keep your business safe, that keep your clients safe, and that give you the ability to receive your goals and to use your intuition and experience growth, clarity, shifts in mindset, more abundance, better balance, all those sorts of things. And because it's going to be bringing in everything with the practice in your life into much deeper alignment with your soul's values. So here's my question. Are you willing to accept my invitation to come and take that step and join me in the Private Practice with Soul mid-year intake? This is my invitation to you to get the answers that you need. This is my invitation to you to learn the do's and don'ts of starting a practice. This is my invitation to you to learn how to attract clients, to be visible and find your voice. This is my invitation to you to help you figure out who your target market is. This is my invitation to you to support you in changing your mindset so that you can release a negative mindset and you can start making decisions that you feel confident within. This is my invitation to you to feel self-assured that you have what it takes to be a success and to really make a difference in people's lives, and that your gamble to stick with counseling is going to pay off. This is my invitation to you to take your practice further, to align your business with your purpose and your income. This is my invitation to you to create a marketing plan and a marketing strategy that supports your business and builds your confidence. This is my invitation to you to experience deeper guidance around how to develop or grow your private practice. This is my invitation to you to help you anchor into yourself and to understand that you're still learning and it's okay to be unique in such a westernized system. This is your opportunity to become fulfilled by your work. This is your opportunity to learn about how to create goals and strategy for the practice and stick to them. This is your invitation to not be working super hard, but to stick to work-life boundaries better. This is your invitation to heal your scarcity story and release blocks if possible. This is your invitation to work in flow, allowing more creativity, bringing in much more of that feminine energy, helping people both individually and collectively. This is your invitation to avoid becoming sick if you don't take action by risking burnout, by risking stress, by risking anxiety. This is your invitation to learn about what a key performance indicator is and to learn how to measure progress in your private practice. This is your opportunity to experience direction and to increase your income. This is your invitation not to give up, but to allow something to give. Because what you are doing is what you are meant to do, but perhaps it just isn't growing very well right now. This is your invitation to create some proper systems to feel safe in your practice and to earn enough money to get out of debt and start paying for more training or more supervision or more mentoring. This is your invitation to stop the struggle of your business from impacting you emotionally and from impacting your current clients. This is your invitation not to burn out. This is your invitation to not be judged, to feel more in control of the business, to access expert input from somebody that's been there and done that. This is your invitation to reduce the number of days that you work, to reduce the number of clients that you see, to increase the time you want to work on the business. This is your invitation to create financial security for your practice, for yourself, and for your family. This is your opportunity to experience accountability and direction and to get out of your own way. This is your invitation to stop limping along, to get out of the state of mind that you can't do it. This is your opportunity to accept an invitation so that you can avoid going back to full-time work in an office. What a waste that would be. This is your invitation to feel less overwhelmed and less unsure because it's all new. This is your invitation to feel more confident putting yourself out there and putting the practice out there. This is your invitation to be more organized so that you can actually enjoy the sessions that you do with your clients. This is your invitation not to feel scattered and pushed around by thoughts and emotions instead of creating support for yourself. This is your invitation to feel excited. This is your invitation to learn how to harmonize the masculine and the feminine energy. The masculine loves the admin side of things, but perhaps you might be worrying that you rush things and so it'll be harder to realign the business later on, rather than just getting things set up correctly from the beginning. This is your opportunity to feel more grounded and like you've got this. This is your invitation to get help now, because in the last week or the last month or the last year, you felt extremely emotional at a time in the business where you would normally be feeling your best. This is your invitation to set up a business that aligns with your values, that is energizing and fulfilling. This is your invitation to join the Private Practice with Soul mid-year enrollment. Okay? Hit pause now on the podcast, scroll down and go and read the information on the class. And I hope that you can join me in there. If you are aware that you want to join, but you're also nervous about the investment, that's fine, I get it. In that case, what I want you to do is message me. I'll put my Facebook on there. Add me as a friend if you like. Send me a message and I will help you process whatever might be coming up for you that's holding you back from being able to take action on your private practice. Okay? That's my absolute promise to you. But for those of you who are ready to accept my invitation, I want to see you enrolled by the 8th of July. Go and look at the information, and if you have any questions, let me know. I can't wait to see you there. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.